Sweet.
We're live.
What up? What up?
Hi, Kyle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Maddie?
Happy to be here.
Fuck yeah.
Doing well. So,
Sick. What's new?
not a whole lot. Just work. Start school next week. Single mom life. Some yard work. Pretty basic shit.
Fun.
What about you?
Fun. Yeah, just normal life stuff, Working a bunch.
Hmm.
Busy time of year. Yeah, had a good 4th of July. What about had great time. 4th got really drunk with the family and it was a good time. So it was fun. It was a good time for sure. Had a fun time. Hung out with my sister, my little niece, and we had a block party, which is kind of cool. You ever been to a block party before?
Oh, yeah. A few.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of the situation for me for 4th of July. I went and saw my mom, and then that ended a little early. So I went to my cousin's house, and they always buy a shit ton of fireworks and just light it off in the street. So, like, all their neighbors and stuff, they'll light off theirs in the street. So we had the whole
Hmm.
street just, blowing off fireworks, and it was
Fuck
fun.
yeah.
Everyone's chilling in the front yard, in the backyard, in the house. So
Oh
yeah, it
yeah.
was a whole thing.
Yeah, it's so good. I
Yeah,
love that. I love it. It's a good time.
for
Yeah.
sure. A
Yeah, we
lot of
had
family.
a lot of
Yeah.
family. Yeah. And that's what this episode is about is talking about family. We've been
Yay.
meaning to do a family episode, kind of dive deeper into that whole stuff. But yeah, it's cool. Um, Family really is where where you come from. It's where you get your like first experiences in life, and where you ultimately like develop certain traits, characteristics, different things with your own self, your own behavior. It definitely is something where it creates, your first like what the fuck is going on, Like if I want to learn something, like I go to like my dad and my dad teaches me something. And if you don't have a dad, then like how do you learn stuff? So that's what this episode's all about is it's about family. So
Yes, and Kyle and I have some different family dynamics and childhood stories. So I think it's cool to get a duality. I think I've shared before, like, I have had a very rocky childhood and a very different family structure that's not traditional, I guess, or wasn't traditional. I think it tried to be, but why don't you talk
yeah.
about your family dynamic when you were growing up, your perspective?
Yeah. So my family dynamic was pretty traditional as well. We would my parents got divorced when I was about 5, and so I went back and forth with, like, every week I'd be with my mom, and then the next week I'd be with my dad, and, it was kinda fun, it was a good time, like, because we got, like, 2 birthdays and Christmases and all that stuff. It was kinda cool
Fuck
at the
yeah.
time, and, realizing that, and, yeah, I mean, overall, like, what I realized when I was younger is like, "Oh, this isn't, like, that bad." I know it's a little bit different from, like, your traditional household of, like, the nuclear family. So, like, back in the 50s and 60s, you'd have a nuclear family of a mom and a dad, and they raise kids, and everything was very traditional, and things, like, seemed to ebb and flow really well. You had your community, your neighbors, your
Hmm.
friends, family, extended family, that sort of thing, and it was really good for it was a really big sense of community, and so my family was a little bit more on that side, but also like we had a lot of extended family as well too. So my mom's side of the family, we had people that were adopted, we had people that were married in, and the cool thing about that was we have like every year we have a huge family gathering. Everybody gets together all the time. Everybody's super close. We're always on group chats about like what's going on with the family, what's updating. Somebody's going through something. we're all like aware. Everybody's super close and tight knit. And what's cool about that is like everybody's also extended, and you know, you know, in you know, I don't know, it's cool, but like you see that more as like a community, more as a family. And then more on my dad's side, it's very sporadic. Kind of get together when we can. Everybody's kind of busy, traveling. Some of them live in different states, and so it's always hard to kind of get together and see each other. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting for sure. Definitely not your traditional family, but I don't feel like a lot of people really have traditional families, and that's okay. Like we all have like our own experiences and our own way of growing up, and I think no matter what, it's always important to like realize the different lessons you can learn from that and why it's not, there's no reason or rhyme or reason or whatever like that you have the certain family structure that you do, and you shouldn't have to like compare or be like, oh, why isn't my family like this or like that. I think it's really important to just kind of see your family for who they are, and realize like everybody's trying to do the best that they can, and um kind of take it from that, like on a more you know higher just positive perspective for sure.
Acceptance and
Um,
understanding of that dynamic. I think nowadays it's more modernized or traditional, I guess, if you want to quote it that way, is that like divorced families are like more of a common thing than families staying together. I'm not saying that doesn't exist anymore, but that's kind of been like, 'cause the divorce rate's what, 60%
mhm.
in the country? So it's, through the decades, like, because we're born in the 90s, right? Or the late 80s. That's kind of been, divorced families kind of been a common thing. So my family dynamic growing up is, so I had a mom and a dad, and a little brother. Yeah, and that was my family. And then when I was about 11 years old, my parents sat me down and told me that my dad, that I thought the whole time was my biological father, my real dad, was not. So that was life changing for me at 11 years old, because I was raised with the understanding this was my dad. Of course, my parents were like, "It doesn't change anything," and I'm like,
Kind of does though.
yeah, I'm like, actually it does. Actually, it changes everything. Because then I'm like, okay, well, who's my real dad, right? What's going on there? And then,
And so
um,
you're like 11
yeah,
realizing this, and this guy throughout your whole life, you were under the impression this was your real dad.
hmm,
You saw everybody, you kind of considered this guy to be a real dad.
yeah. And the funny part is like, even as a child, for some strange reason, in my gut, in the back of my mind, I always thought like, I don't think this person is truly my dad. Like,
Mm,
I remember I
you
was
had a
probably,
suspicion.
yeah, I remember I was like 9 or 10 years old. I remember I came up to my mom crying, and I'm like, "Mom, am I adopted?" Like, and she's like, "No, you're not adopted." And I was just always felt like out of place. But he would make side comments like, "Well, that's your daughter," to my mom. You know what I mean? And I always thought of it like, well, maybe I'm more like her. That's what he means. But then another part of me was like, why is he saying shit like that? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And then, like, my brother and I, we don't look alike either. You know what I mean? I mean, I get that can happen with genetics or whatever, but I don't know. I just always, in my gut was always like, something's not adding up. So when they told me that, and I've always been an emotional like person, yeah, it really fucked me up in a way of like, okay, well, these were my parents, and as a child, your parents are your God, right? Like, so you trust them, you love them unconditionally. And I'm not saying they didn't for me, but like that kind of created a block that I had with them after that, because I was like, they could lie about this, or not lie, but like keep that from me for that long.
Hmm.
And I get their reasoning. They wanted to wait till I was an age where I could understand. I get that, but I just felt betrayed for a long time.
Hmm.
I grew really resentful of that. And I realized, now as an adult and even when I was a teenager, I had to hash that out emotionally within myself for feeling that way. Um, it still hurt, you know. So I just kind of felt lied to, and that I think that kind of started my issues, like my developing issues with trusting people.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
because those people that you looked up to when you were younger,
yeah,
um, kind of like essentially, yeah, lied to you and wanted to pass off this person that wasn't actually your dad,
mhm,
and yeah, that sucks. That really sucks.
yeah, yeah. So, and what was I going to say? I lost the thought. Damn it! I hate when I do that. I forgot what I was going to say. Shit. Okay. Anyway, it's all good. So it also like changed my perspectives with my brother because then I was like, okay, well, what does this mean with the relationship between my brother and I? Because they were like, no, your brother is, you know, their kid.
Mm,
So that created a block too for me. And I'm 11. Like, how do I deal with that? Why
yeah.
am I feeling this way? And why is my perspective in this light now? And that was really tough for me. Um, but I mean, yeah. So and then my parents you were talking about your parents divorcing. My parents divorced when I was 17, 16, 17 years old. Um,
Mm,
my dad was very, very hard on me. He wanted to instill a good work ethic with me and my brother. I think because I was the oldest and also a female and also not his like true kid, his biological kid, that he was harder on me than my brother. Um, and I also felt like my mom kind of favored my brother over me too because I'm gonna be real, like I was not an easy kid to deal with, like very emotional, very rebellious, very argumentative and defiant, and I know that. But I was still a kid, like
mhm,
I needed love. Like I was hurting, and that's just kind of how it was. My parents, I, I I recall back on childhood memories. I don't. They weren't really that affectionate towards each other. There was always like tension or like space between them or
mm,
stress going on. And as I got older, like became an adolescent, I started to see the problems that they had within their marriage. And I remember even thinking at like 14, 15 years old, I'm like, why are these people still together? They're clearly
mm,
not happy.
right.
All this stuff, but I just thought that was normal 'cause that's what I grew up with. So, yeah, I grew up with basically a stepdad who I thought was my real dad. And then, when I got older, I was curious. I was like, who's my real dad?
Hmm.
Who like impregnated my mom? Like and made me like I would need to know. And
Yeah.
so it was kind of weird. So like my grandparents, so my real dad's parents, they're from England. And since I was a toddler, they'd come every year to come visit me.
Mm,
And when I got a little older, around that time they told me that my dad wasn't my real dad. I was like, okay, how am I related to these guys? Like they so I
yeah.
understand how grandparents, parents, that lineup works. So I was like, okay, so who are these
Who are
people?
these guys? Yeah.
But they're my grandma and grandpa, you're telling me. So I was so confused growing up, like
Mm,
so confused. And then I knew the truth and I was like, oh, okay. Well, my grandparents stayed in my life my whole life, but where the fuck's my dad?
yeah.
Where's he at? What's going on with that? So turns out, when my mom got pregnant with me, it was like a hookup. She was in her early 20s, whatever. And she phoned him and was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant." He was like, "Yeah, I'm going on a boat. I'm going on a yacht to sing, so, you know, uh whatever you want to do, but I got my own agenda." She was like, "Well, I'm keeping it whether you're in the picture or not." So, me. So, that's kind of what happened and then she got back with my dad when he came back from the army. So,
Mm,
I was in the 90s. Um
crazy. And so,
yeah.
do you still talk to your real dad, or have you had conversations with him?
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy story too. So I was supposed to meet him when I was 14, and the wife that he had at the time found out
Mm,
about it because I have two half sisters, younger half sisters. which I love and adore them. They're amazing. I didn't meet them until 2019 though.
Hmm.
And so, but I was supposed to meet him when I was 14. His wife found out, freaked out, was like, "You go and see her. I'm taking your other kids away." So he backed
What?
out. I was so fucking mad. I was so mad. And I was so resentful of that for so long. And then 3 years later, I met him when I was 17. It was really weird. I'm
Hmm.
like, this British dude is like,
You have
like
the accent and everything.
yeah.
Noise.
And he lived in Meridian Eagle the whole time.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was just like, as a teenager, at that time, I'm just like baffled. I'm like,
Hmm.
you were like, what, 15 minutes away from me the whole time?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
that's so crazy.
So that was crazy, yeah. But it was cool meeting him. And then I didn't see him for years after that because I got into drugs and I was running and gunning and angry. And I had so many resentments around that time towards my family, my mom, my stepdad, my real dad, everybody. Because I just felt so lied to and like I was a fucking joke or
Hmm.
just kept because that's what you do if you get knocked up kind of thing. And I had to do a lot of healing with that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, now to answer your question, now we have a really good relationship. We've hashed out a lot of that. We've had some tough conversations. I got to ask him some really tough questions that my whole life I always wanted answers to. And now we have a great relationship. I don't see him that much because I'm just busy, but I'm really close with my sisters.
that's cool. And they
It
all
worked
live
out.
here, or
Uh,
they?
my middle sister, yeah, lives with our dad, and then my younger sister is living in England, traveling abroad, and living her best fucking life. So
Nice, hell yeah.
super proud of both of them. They're awesome. They're like little mini me's too. When I met them, I was like, seriously, you kept me from these people my whole life? Like, these are like the other pieces of my soul. Like,
Yeah,
it's not fair.
it's
But
cool that you guys got to reconnect and stuff too, though.
yeah, it worked out in the end. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. That's super similar to like my situation too, like with my dad, because my whole life growing up, I always wanted an older brother, and I always felt like, you know, I was like, man, it would be so cool to have an older brother because I grew up with a younger sister, and so like there was, you know, like we got along and it was fine until like we got into high school age and stuff. Um,
Mhm.
and then since then like we're super cool now. Everything's good. Um, but like when I was 21, I found out that I had an older half brother by about 5 years on my dad's side, and it was super crazy because I was kind of going into the family business and I was looking at, all right, cool. Like I'm building a better relationship with my father. Like, when I was a teenager, I definitely kind of rebelled a lot and I left home and stayed with my mom a lot more. Didn't really get along with my dad too much in that time. And I felt like I was coming back and I was like, a little bit older, 24, I think it was like 23, 22, somewhere around there. And I was, hanging out with my dad a lot more. He took us to Mexico, and we like had a really good time, and it was super fun. And a year prior is when my half brother kind of came into the picture, and I didn't even know about it until about like, yeah, a year or so after that. But what's crazy is that from my mom and my sister, they both knew. My mom knew, my dad knew, like the whole time. And he lived in Boise growing up, and
What
so
the
that's what's
fuck?
crazy is like I could have had a brother growing up in Boise and hanging out, partying, whatever. And come to find out once we actually meet, it's like super fucking cool. It's like, oh shit, I get a ton of advice from him. He's an awesome guy. I get like business advice from him all the time, and super good role model. And yeah, so we've definitely like reconnected since then and tried to make up for like lost times and everything. But that whole thing, I was just like, "Ah, fuck, dude, like, why didn't you fucking tell me, you know? Like,
Right?
why I wouldn't have cared, because I think the thing is like their generation of people were like very, very traditional. Oh, you
Mhm.
have a kid out of wedlock. That's a sin in
That's a
God's
no-no.
eyes. I come from like kind
Mhm.
of a Catholic family,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I think that's where the biggest kind of thing came. But yeah, he was there like for the first like year or two of his life, um, and then he met my mom, and then me, and then my sister.
Mhm.
Um, and he married my mom, I guess, first, and then had us. So it's more in the eyes of the church or the Roman Church or whatever. It's more, oh, this is looked good upon, but it's like also like you have another life out there. Like, shouldn't
Mhm.
life be celebrated,
Mhm.
regardless of how it comes to be? Um,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, no, it was, definitely challenging for sure because growing up for me, I definitely felt a little bit more favored. Obviously, like me thinking I'm like the firstborn son. I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
I got to take over the fucking family business. I got to do all this. I got to set a good example. I'm gonna be you know, the son with pride or whatever, whatever you say, right? And
Mhm.
then come to find out, I have an older half brother. I was like, what? This is so crazy. Um, and so yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. It's like I'm glad now that I know, and we have a good relationship now, and I'm gonna go see him next month. Um, go hang out up in Seattle, have a good
That's
time.
cool.
Um, but yeah, definitely like that same thing of like, you didn't tell me. That's kind of still kind of considered lying because you knew and you didn't tell me, and that would be like kind of a cool thing for me to know, especially growing up. Um,
Parents be
so
spreading their seed everywhere, man.
it's crazy.
Like,
Yeah,
damn.
I don't know.
I'm like, goddamn.
Goddamn.
You're getting on us younger generation for being like, you know, overtly sexual or sexually active, and it's like y'all are like making kids left and right, and
Hmm.
then
And then we
peacing
find
out.
out,
Like,
and yeah.
okay, like what?
They're just as fucked up as we are.
Oh
What? Holy
wow,
shit.
imagine that. Parents, come on.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But yeah, like growing up in that dynamic too, like I
Mhm.
had a conversation with my sister about it, and she definitely has some resentment towards my dad growing up, not only because of that, but just because of the way we were treated growing up.
Mhm.
Um and so through, since I was like 6 or 7, my dad had a stepmom sort of thing or whatever, and she was really not a good person to us growing up. Like, there were good times for
What
sure
do you mean?
where we would be like on our good side, but like majority of the time, I feel like she had a lot of resentment because she couldn't have kids, and so she resented us a lot, and so she was very physically and emotionally abusive towards us behind, my dad's back. And so yeah, I remember one time I was like making coffee when I was getting ready for school, and I had super long hair at the time. She like pulled my hair and like did something and was like super angry. And I was like, it's 6 in the fucking morning. Like, what the fuck is going on right now? And, she would do stuff like fuck with the thermostat and then blame it on us. And so my dad would get mad at us. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, we didn't fucking touch the thermostat. What are you talking about?
Jesus.
And the kind of betrayal came was when me and my sister would both be like, "Yo, this happened," and my dad would still take her side, and it was like, "The
Mm,
fuck?" I don't know. It's
mm,
kind of stupid, and so yeah, we both felt a little betrayed there, but understanding that, like, you know, people do or what people are gonna do whatever they're gonna do regardless. But
mhm.
growing up, I definitely felt betrayed by that because I'm like, I'm your kid. Why
Right,
wouldn't you take my side? And
right.
that's what I really love about my mom is because she always took our side, and she was like, if there was any quarrels with who she was dating, she would immediately just end it and be like, I got you. I love you guys. I'm on your side, like no matter what. And that was really, really fucking cool, and I appreciate that so much. So, love you, mom.
Go
Yeah,
mom.
go
Go
mom. Yeah.
mom.
So, and today, I mean, like, I have a really good relationship with my mom. I, just saw her this morning, mowed her lawn, and hung out and talked and stuff. And my dad, we talk here and there. I really reach out to my dad, and I can kind of say whatever I want because I know he's not a YouTube guy. Um, I really reach out to him like whenever I need like advice on, business or working on my car or, stuff like that.
Man shit.
Man shit, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And I'm happy with that. I don't want it to be, more or less or whatever. That's super cool. Like, um, definitely have learned a lot from my dad in that aspect of how to work on my car, how to build a business, like I get his connections all the time, like, oh, who's your lawyer? Like, who do you have for your business attorney? Who's your tax guy? Like, let me
Mhm.
know. Um, and so that's why I've kind of like compartmentalized it into like two different ways. Like I don't um, I definitely feel bad in a way because like I definitely was treated differently growing up and I can see the damage that it's done to my sister and it's definitely not something that I you know want for future generations and stuff, but it's like I definitely see that and how you're not showing up for your kids or not being honest with them. I think that's the biggest thing is just like being upfront and honest and going from there. But yeah.
Ugh.
So that's like yeah, that's like my family shit, but it is what it is and I have a interesting dynamic for sure. And you just got to do the best you fucking can, honestly. Like, 'cause I never chose this life. This life chose me. So
Right, for sure. Like, I didn't choose to be born or be put in this family, but yeah, you have to make the best of it and learn from it. Um, yeah, like when my parents got divorced, I actually was the one who I not necessarily convinced my mom, but I was the one who was like, "Mom, like, we can't do this anymore. Like, we can't all be a family anymore. It's not working. Very toxic home environment. Like, and at the time when this happened, I was old enough to see everything. I saw everything. Even years prior, like, and I try to protect. My little brother doesn't know this, and he doesn't watch my YouTube anyway. But like, so my father, my stepdad, was an alcoholic and abusive alcoholic, and he'd get drunk almost every night. And when he'd get drunk, he was very unpredictable. So he'd either come home and be super loving and like fun, the fun dad, or he'd come home and he'd be very violent, aggressive, confrontational, abusive, and him and my mom would fight a lot. And so, me as a teenager seeing this, and I'm angry anyway, and just tired of it, just berating shit you know? And my mom would try so hard to keep their fights like secluded from us. Like 'cause we had a two-story house, so she tried to seclude their arguments upstairs in the bedroom where we couldn't hear it. But like I knew they were fighting. I knew there's shit going on. I'm sure my little brother did too. But like there'd be nights my dad would come home drunk and I would barricade myself in front of my brother's door because I did not want him going in my brother's door or in his bedroom. So, and my little brother doesn't know that um, my brother and I had a very strained relationship growing up, and even after we left the house for many years because of my drug addiction in the past and just how our relationship was. Um, you know, I because I was hard on my brother. Like I'd beat my brother up and make fun of him and like take it out on him because I had a parental figure taking it out on me, and so I didn't know how to really deal with it until I realized like what I was doing was not okay to my little brother. And he got bigger than me and was like, guess what, sis? I ain't putting up your shit no more. Fuck you. But my brother blamed me for my parents' divorce for many years. And I never really got to have that conversation with him about like who his dad really was because he didn't want to hear it from me, one. And two, I don't think he wanted to know the truth until it showed it in his face, and I never wanted that for him, um, even when I was younger. So, there was this weird duality of, like, trying to protect my brother and be a good big sister, but then also taking my anger and shit out on my little brother. So, yeah, I'm sure it was very confusing and damaging for him, and that's probably why our relationship got strained to begin with, but, we were both kids, like, I didn't you know? and we hash it out, like, my relationship with my sibling now, like, yeah, we don't talk, like, we're not, like, besties or anything, but whenever we see each other, because he lives across the country now, and he has for a few years, very successful, mechanic, owns a boat, owns a home, about to buy a second home, like, my brother is the shit, like, my brother kicks ass at life, nothing on his criminal record, like, he really truly is the golden child, and, um, I have mad respect for him, but we're cool now, and he loves the shit out of my son, like, he's such a good uncle, but, yeah, during that time, he blamed me for our parents' divorce for a long time, but he didn't really know the full scope of what was going on and what our dad was doing to me and my mom. Like, I've Jesus, sorry. I've seen my dad put his hands around my mom's throat. Like, he's punched me, he's shoved me into walls. I've seen him shove my mom into furniture and shit and into the wall. Like, I've seen him do just heinous things to my mom and to me, and like, he never laid hands on my brother, and I made sure that he wouldn't. I kind of would
Mhm.
deflect his attention towards my brother if I felt like he was going to target him and put it on me. So I would act out and I would be defiant and be a bitch to him because I didn't want him to do that to him.
Yeah.
And so it was really tough. Uh, I felt like I was the bad kid. I also felt like I needed to protect, my younger sibling, and I also felt and my mother.
Mm.
And it was just a weird family dynamic because also I was a daddy's girl too. Like, I really loved my dad and I wanted to impress him and make him proud of me so badly.
Mhm.
Um, in the same breath, so it was very toxic and confusing for me. So around the time I'm 17 years old, his alcoholism is just out of fucking control. My mom, because me and my brother are old enough to like do our own thing, so my mom didn't really worry about us. So my mom was like out all the time and didn't want to fucking deal with him either, which I totally understand that. But it got to the point where my dad and I were like physically fighting each other, and I ran away from home. And then my best friend at the time in high school, like, she took me in and I lived with her family. And, at that time, I thought I was leaving one, very toxic, traumatic, household. I actually went into another where they had their own sets of issues, and her dad became kind of like my father figure at the time
Mhm.
too, and that's a
Sure that.
whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what'd you say?
Oh, I was just thinking about what you said earlier about the one friend you were talking about earlier. Was that the same one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And her and I bonded on that because she has, you know, uh, family members that are addicts too, and there's just a lot of uh, infidelity that was going on in there. And we didn't really have a structure or rules when I moved in, so we kind of did whatever the fuck we wanted. So that was a whole different animal in itself. But teenage me, I'm like, fuck yeah, this is great. Like, I don't have to worry about getting my ass hit, or like, or getting punched in the face, or like, I don't have to worry about shit. Like, I can do whatever
Mhm.
I want. Well,
Mhm.
and but that's a whole different story. But yeah, so I've had a few father figures growing up. I really just wanted a dad because I had major trust and abandonment issues from finding out the truth at that
Mhm.
time, um, and not feeling like my own father didn't want me. So why the fuck is this dude even stepping up? And then he hadn't taken his resentments out on me, um, and the relationship that we had and how he treated my mom. And so I was definitely stemming and developing daddy issues on a real level. So I was like, I just really, and I didn't realize it at the time either, but I was like, I really just want a dad, like a
Mhm.
father figure or a male figure that will give me the love and respect and appreciation that a father should give their daughter, and know that they're not going to leave me or abandon me either. So that definitely contributed to my personality disorder. We talk about borderline personality disorder and stuff, but and PTSD and my relationships that I had with men, and
Yeah, it all
yeah.
kind of stems from that for sure.
Hmm.
The way you're raised, the way you're brought up, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like there's so many dualities with our lives growing up. Um, very, very similar. Like I think yours were definitely way more extreme, definitely made way more crazy. But yeah, I see a lot of similarities for sure.
Me too.
Um, you know, I also felt like I had to kind of protect my sister and stuff growing up, and with the whole situation at my dad's place, it was like me and my sister were, kind of like buddy buddy. We had to team up in that certain situation to make sure that we would be okay. um, and then at my mom's house, it was way cool. Everything was chill, relaxed. I didn't have to worry about anything. Yeah, she got on us for some stuff here and there, um, but that's like when we really messed up. But majority of the time, it was great. We
Mhm.
had friends over. Um, we would, basically, my mom's house was a house to hang out at. That's where a liquid embrace actually started.
Oh
Was over there. It
shit.
might have been drummer's house, and then I think we couldn't practice over there, and then we came over to my mom's house, the one over there, a
Did I
couple
go to your
miles away.
mom's house back in high school?
I'm
Was that the
sure I
house you
brought
took
you
me to?
over
Because
there.
your dad lived
Yeah.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. You
Okay,
I
yeah, I
think
went to your
and I
mom's
think you
house.
came out there
Yeah.
once
Yeah,
one
you
time.
played on your guitar.
Yeah.
You hung out in your room. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Same house
Mhm.
over there. Fun times. I think you brought a friend over that one time. She was blonde. I don't remember, but it was a while
I
ago.
don't
I was in
know.
high
Did a
school.
lot of
But
drugs and alcohol since
anyway,
then.
it was a fun time. That's yeah. So we started a band over there, played in the garage, and had a good time. And I remember one time we left a joint in the garage. My mom got
Oh, I
pissed
bet.
off
Oh, I
because
bet.
they were very. My parents were very, don't do anything until you're 18, sort of thing. And I was like 15, 16, and
Mhm.
she found this joint, fucking flip shit. Oh, it
Ruining
was a
your
bad
life.
situation.
Smoking the devil's
What are
lettuce.
you doing? But they
Oh,
smoke too. Like I've smoked
what?
both my mom and dad and stuff.
What?
And yeah, so it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, don't do it when you're young, but when you get older, you can smoke them both.
Do as I say, not as I do,
Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
that's how my
exactly.
parents
And
were.
until you're
Yeah,
18, then you're buddy buddy. It's all good.
yeah,
So yeah, thankfully
yeah.
my parents didn't really have any addiction issues or stuff. My dad, I think, drank a lot, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't abusive. He just was very indifferent. The biggest thing was, I definitely felt favored in that situation between me and my sister growing up, and yeah, I can definitely see the damage now for sure. Like, cause my sister got way more into partying than I did, and you know, definitely definitely was a little bit, not on the decision making path. I think made some bad decisions, but I think we all do. I made some bad decisions as well, and um, you know, so it is what it is. But
Life.
um, life, we all
Yeah,
learn. She's doing great. She's doing
good.
way fucking awesome right now.
That's
She's
awesome.
I love her very much. She's doing good.
Good.
Um, and then yeah, my brother's doing awesome as well. He's killing it. Um, freaking having a great time up in Seattle and having a good time up there. So yeah,
I
yeah,
love
it's good.
that.
Yeah, so I think it all works out. Like I think when we're younger, we definitely dramatize things a little bit more, but then like when we get older, we're like, oh, okay, we realize people are like just people and doing their own thing. But then also
Oh, yeah, I was about
with
to say.
such yeah, I was getting into the fair, but situations like where people are legitimately fucking crazy and have addiction issues and aren't mentally there themselves for sure, that causes even more fucking damage to their kids. And that's what's
Yeah.
fucked up, because you have to have a driver's license to go drive a car. You have to have a license to, fly a plane. But you don't have to have a license to have a kid. You can just fucking pop off as many kids as you want without any lie. Hey, is this person mentally sane to own a gun or to drive a car? Okay, yeah, they
Mhm.
are. But are they mentally sane to have a kid? I don't fucking know. Have as many kids as you want. It's so crazy. Fuck up all your kids.
Right.
Have as many
Right.
kids as you want. Fuck them all up. It's so crazy. I don't understand it. But yeah, I think yeah, I think it just comes to like self-awareness and understanding like
Mhm.
are you ready? Are you like mentally okay? Um, I don't know. There's so many things about it. Like I'm very pro like human and pro life and stuff, but I'm also pro choice and like,
Mhm.
it's obviously I'm not a woman, so it's like I can't tell Maddie what to do with her body because it's her body. She
Damn
can't tell
right.
me what to do with my body. It's mine.
Damn right.
So and that's a thing is like I don't know. We should be in a situation where it's like, having a kid isn't so scary, where it's like it's not a big deal, or like that we're all okay enough mentally and physically to have children, because I think that's a big thing. I think is a lot of people aren't, you know, mentally mentally there. They just kind of like go with the flow and, oh shit, yeah, I have a kid, cool, I'm gonna keep doing my shit, whatever.
Well, I mean, it's our in our nature to procreate. So, like, in our
Yeah.
animalistic nature to procreate. So, it's like, yeah, you have to have a license to drive and a license to fly a plane, all this shit. But like, yeah, you don't need a license to become a parent or have a child. And for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that had extensive trauma or have had an upbringing that's not necessarily mentally healthy, um, a lot of the times people don't even realize that that's out of the norm or not
Yeah.
like that it is unhealthy or damaging or traumatic or whatever. Like
Hmm.
that's all they know.
Yeah.
So they carry that on. And I'll be honest, like before I got pregnant with my son, I was definitely in no way, shape, or form like ready to have a child. Like I had nothing. I was renting a room out. I was shooting up meth and heroin. Like I was with a really abusive person, the one that got me pregnant, and I was not in any type of way to have a child. And, um, and everybody's story is different, right? But when I found out I was pregnant, like I took responsibility of that and I'm like, I gotta do right by this and change my life and change me and my surroundings and my environment. And not everybody does that, right? But
Hmm.
and I'm not blaming or shaming them, but that's what I did. I was like, I have a responsibility now, I have a purpose. I want to do differently than what I grew up with or what I'm doing right now in my life. I don't want my child to go through that, their mom being a junkie,
Hmm.
um, being, a drug addict, and the person that, you know, gave me my child um, was very abusive, and I knew if I stayed with this person that may or may not even have a child. Um, so this person was physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. I remember I told him I was pregnant, and I was so elated, like I was so excited because I was like, "This is my purpose. Like this
Hmm.
is this." And that's so much pressure put on an unborn child. Like my purpose in life is my kid, but he is. And
Yeah.
I was ready. Like I was like, I'm done with the drugs. I'm done with this lifestyle. I'm done with this bullshit. And I want to change my life. And I was excited. And when I shared the news with this person, they couldn't believe it. And then it just after I shared the news with, the person I was with that got me pregnant, their behavior became even worse. Like they became
Hmm.
more abusive and more crazy. And I found myself in another situation where I felt like my safety and my unborn child's safety was at risk. And he did. He tried to essentially kill my unborn child and
Hmm.
and 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 me. And I did what I needed to do to protect my baby. And I don't regret it at all. Um, yeah, if I had a magic wand and could change how I got pregnant and that whole process and the whole dynamic of that, of course I would want like the fairy tale ending and have the father involved and,
It's not
and
always like that though, but yeah.
it doesn't
But
work out
but
like that. Yeah.
it even from like a really dark place or a dark person, something beautiful came from that, and I think
Mhm.
that's the that's the underlying thing that's really really kind of cool. And it helped you. It helped you change your life. It helped you get to the person you are today, and you're gonna keep growing and keep getting better. And because of that situation, because you went through all that darkness, um, you're able to spread so much light in what you do right now. And that's really fucking cool. And that's a beautiful thing about life for sure. And like going into it, it's like it's crazy because we do have this like duality that we have in ourselves of the animalistic nature of procreating and making sure the species stays alive. And
Right.
we also have this other duality of, you know, uh like everything else, right? Like our consciousness and, you know, how can we, extend different dimensions and reality, right?
Improve, evolve, yeah.
For
Break
sure.
cycles for sure.
Yeah.
A big thing for me too when I did get pregnant was my mom was married to my stepdad for 17 years. She stayed with him even through all the abuse and the alcoholism and all the shit he pulled. And I remember having a conversation with my mom as an adult and a new mom, and I was like, "Mom, why did you stay with him for so long?" And she told me, she's like, "Love went out the window a long time ago in that marriage, but I stayed because I had 2 kids I had to raise, and I didn't know if I could afford to take care of you guys adequately enough." And she was afraid of that. And so when I got pregnant with my son and all the shit went down with his, sperm donor, I was like, "I'm not staying with this man for that support. Like, I don't care. I will lean on my family. I will work 3 jobs, but I will not stay with the father or the male figure for my child just
Yeah.
simply because of that." And I'm not shaming my mom at all. I totally understand where she's getting from. I
You learn.
110%, I respect the fact that
Yeah.
she had to do what she had to do at the time that she had, but that was definitely something I did not want to have hanging on my back.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed I never had to deal with that, what she had to deal with. So props to my mom for fucking dealing with that. But I will not stay with somebody who's gonna cause more harm than good,
Hmm.
especially onto my child,
Yeah.
or me,
Yeah.
right?
And she kind of taught you that in a way.
Yeah. So thank you, mom.
Yeah. That's badass.
Congrats, mom.
Yeah.
I love you.
Parents are there to teach us the good and the bad, you
Hmm.
know.
For
So,
sure.
yeah, that's
And she's a
awesome.
great grandma. So I know, we've had so many conversations about how we want to see our futures look like, all that stuff. I wanted you to kind of
Mm,
like talk about what you want in your future family for your own family.
yeah. Yeah, so like for me, community is super important. I feel that, growing up, like my extended family and my adopted family was way more beneficial to not only my own life, but everybody else's life around them. And so I want to be, in kind of the center, the grandpa that has like all of these branches stemming out from its tree of people that have been affected positively.
That's cool.
And, um, I would love to like ultimately, what would be really cool is to like own a shit ton of acres and have all my friends and family live on it with me. And we just kind of live off grid
Fuck
and,
yeah.
just live in the wilderness and the nature and kind of disconnect from society and all this bullshit,
Hmm.
and raise raise tons of kids and have a really good like
The
structure
commune,
and core like commune. Yeah, absolutely. I think
or
that would be
cult.
really
Just kidding.
cool. Yeah, we're gonna
I'm just kidding. There
live
was
up in
no
Oregon
like religious
somewhere.
tones at all. So I just,
I'll be the yeah.
yeah,
I'll be the one. I'll be the
I'm in charge of
I'll
the
be the
Kool Aid.
prophet.
Just kidding.
I'll have like 5 or 6 wives and shit.
Oh God, send you to Utah.
Yeah, that shit's
That's cool
crazy.
though.
But
So yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
something really, I don't know, something really beneficial, something cool, something different. I feel like everybody, you know, does their own thing nowadays and is kind of just doing whatever. But like, I would love to just have a shit ton of land and, you know, build and raise a cool community, make a city or something. And, just not, uh, obviously break the trauma and the cycles of all the bullshit, and then just have somewhere, we're totally self-sufficient. We grow our own food, we raise our own cows and buffalo and goats and fucking
Chickens,
chickens, make our own beer
uh,
and wine and just
everything.
everything, grow our
Yeah.
own weed. Like that would be sick. That'd
Or
be way cool. you know I don't really smoke too much these days anymore, but just have like a really cool community, and that's kind of what I'm building towards and working towards right now, and kind of looking out at what I can do to make that happen, and finding the right people, and I think that's very important. For me in life, it's a lot of like telling no to the people I don't want in my life, because it's like, no, like, there's a lot of people I feel like I come across that aren't on my same path, or what I want to do and what I want to create in life,
Mhm.
and so it's really difficult for me to say no. Like, so that's what I'm learning a lot, is making sure that you know what I'm doing and what I want to go and where I want to what I want to make happen, and the vision I see for myself is with the right people that also see that as well.
How many kids do
So
you want?
a lot. That'd be
Oh
cool.
god, how much is a lot?
I don't know, a couple will be fine.
Like a fucking handful? Like like one,
Handful,
two,
as many as you want to pop out.
five.
Shit.
Jesus. He's not talking to me, by the way. He's
No. As many, I don't care. I'm not partial. Like, so
Lord, no.
have as many as you want.
I like the
The more the
commune
merrier. More
idea.
the merrier.
The more the merrier. Well, okay. That okay. I like the commune idea. That's kind of like the direction I want to go to. And with my friends and loved ones, their kids are my kids in a sense. Like we all look after each other's kids. If they need a lot of my friends are single parents, so they need help with their children. I'm there, and vice versa. And I love that. I kind of already have that community already. Being a single parent, I'm very blessed and grateful for that. I also have really good family support too, so that's really badass. But if I had a magic wand, right, and I wanted to structuralize my own little family, I definitely would like my son to have a father. Like, and since because like I can't say magic wand, right? So
Hmm.
I yeah, like if the person that gave me my child in the first place was a decent human being, then I would totally stay and work it out. Even if we didn't work out, I'd co-parent that shit. But I definitely would like my son to have a father figure or another parental figure. 'Cause I am bisexual, doesn't matter to me. But because it's hard being a single parent, especially I feel like when you're raising a child that's the opposite sex of you, because it's like I know what it's like to be a little girl. Because I'm not trans or anything. I do identify as a female. So like, and I don't know what my son identifies as, but his social norms are very boy-like. So I don't know what it means or what it's like or how to as a mother, as a female, raise a little boy to be a man. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or what that entails being a dad or being male
Yeah.
or being a little boy. So that's been a struggle for me. I would like to have somebody or, whatever, include that if I like I said, if I had a magic wand and that's how I'd want it to be. I don't know. I think about having another child. I think my max would be 2.
Yeah.
I'm cool with 1. Like I really am. I'm cool with 1, but if I had that ideal magic wand perspective or vision, I definitely want at least 2. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got career goals and shit. I'm
Got
trying to
shit
own
to
some
take care of
properties.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get my master's degree and stuff. But
Absolutely.
I could definitely, if I found the right person, and it was going cohesive with me already having a son, I and it worked out, I definitely would give that person another child. But there has to be a ring on this finger. You know what I'm saying? Like I better be married, shit better be going well, thriving, it's healthy, it's a nice healthy family dynamic. We're breaking cycles, we're healing our inner child and our traumas.
Mm,
We're trying to be better people and parents before I pop out another one. You know what I'm
hell yeah.
saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm,
struggle is real, but that would be my ideal if I could have it my way. And I love the community commune idea. And that's honestly been in my thoughts and ideas as well for a few years. So
mm.
that's I think that's cool as fuck.
Maybe you could be
So
a part of it.
be a part of it. Yeah, like community, like you
Yeah.
said.
Part of
So
the community. Yeah. That's cool.
barn houses and shit. Just let the
Yeah.
kids just fucking frolic.
Yeah.
Figure it out,
play
guys.
with the barnyard kitties and
Mm.
have fun.
I found another cat. I'm like, great, another mouth to feed. I'm just kidding. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's way awesome. Okay, I think
Very
that's very important to definitely have like a more masculine figure to
mhm,
raise kids, and then also a more feminine figure to raise kids as well too. Because
mhm,
you're very good at the feminine role, and I'm very good at the masculine role. And I think it's very important for kids growing up to have both, regardless of their gender, because then it's like they're able to understand themselves better, and then they're also able to understand other people better,
mhm.
and it's definitely something really fucking cool.
Yeah, I think
So,
it comes down to like skills and knowledge. Like,
mhm,
and then yes, there's also some gender identifying things and influences that I do lack being, a cis woman. So, um, because I love gay families. Like the healthiest family dynamics I've seen have been gay couples with kids.
mhm.
Like
And they also
they
have
got it
like,
down.
yeah, and
What
it's
are you
really,
doing, straight people? Like, what's going
well,
on?
it's cool because like they also have like the duality too of like masculine, feminine energy as well,
Yeah,
most of the time, right?
yeah. And I mean, it doesn't mean it's outwardly or who's the man, who's the woman. It's not like that. But yeah, it's just energy and
Hmm.
it's skills and knowledge and what what can one. I think I kind of more so believe in like when raising a child, there needs to be at least two really involved adults. Like it doesn't matter gender or whatever.
Yeah,
But it does take a tribe. It does take a community to raise children, and I like that like community aspect. So
yeah,
that's how I see it, I guess. In parenting and family structure, so pretty
yeah.
badass.
Very cool.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
awesome.
I love it.
Well, I'm glad you had a good 4th of July, and yeah, this episode was, because we discussed it prior to recording, and I'm like, "Oh god, we gotta talk about family. Oh
Yeah,
god." I
let's
want
figure
my
it out.
kid, if he ever talks about family in the future when he's older, to be like, "Oh, fuck yeah.
Love my family.
Fuck yeah, my
Yeah.
family rocks," and I'm not saying my family doesn't,
Mhm.
but I don't want him to be like, "Oh yeah,
That's
let's,
how I want to be
mentally
too.
prepare."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I want to be too. It's like I don't think I've. Yeah. I want my kid to be like, oh fuck yeah, I love my dad, and you
Mhm.
know, yeah,
My mom's the
that's
coolest.
super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom's cool as fuck. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's cool. Look at us breaking cycles and shit. I love that.
It's beautiful.
So,
It's beautiful. Hell yeah.
but audience, whoever's watching this, like, give us some comments down below, like what other topics you want us to talk about, or comments in relation to this episode or the other videos we posted. We really want feedback from you guys. We want to interact with you guys more. I know we're starting out. Um, we're kind of new to this as well, and we're like evolving as we go, but yeah, feedback would be very much appreciated. We need that shit to grow, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying? So
exactly.
let us know.
Positive, negative, everything.
Hmm.
We need all the feedback. Questions, anything that you want to ask us, anything that you're curious about, let us know. We're straight open book. So, yeah,
Right.
awesome, awesome. Cool. Fuck yeah.
Well, another episode down.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, guys.